You know, my dad caught a lot of heat when we were younger because people thought my father was crazy on how he trained me, and it was always, oh, that poor kid, he's going to get burned out. But what people don't realize, if you were across the gym and you saw my dad and he had his finger in my face, you might be sitting there saying, that poor kid. But what you didn't realize is my dad was over there saying, you're too good to beat that guy by 14 points instead of beating him by 15 points. You know, you could have gotten that extra takedown. So it was never, he was never tearing me down. I was constantly being built up. I was constantly being built up, and I believed that I was capable of anything on the mat. And there was, you know, I might have had tears, and he might have been tearing into me a little bit, but he was teaching me how to perfect this sport, and I learned it, and I got it, and I understood it. My dad started to help me after my second year. When I wrote down my goals, I always tell people sometimes that was the biggest mistake I could have done because he got his hands on it, and he sat me down and we had this long conversation. And I was 7 turning 8, and I might have been looking at him, and he said, so this is really what you want to do? And I said, yeah. What 8-year-old's going to say anything different? He says to me, look, if this is really what you want to do, I will help you do it. But once we start, you can't quit. And I said, well, yeah, this is what I really wanted to do. Now, had he told me the training methods before we started, I would have said, no, I don't want to do this. But he's heard that saying, well, you know, how fast will you move? Well, if I run in here with a gun, you'll move. You know, that's that old saying people say, you know, if I had a gun, you'd do this. I always tell you the easy way to sum up my father is my dad would bring the gun. He wanted to see me succeed so bad that he even knew that there was times, you know what, I went too far. But he would, occasionally say, hey, I'm sorry. We shouldn't have done it that way last night. There is definitely times when you're like, why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? The example was that everybody gets a sticky point or a plateau in their career, and I got plateaued on the bottom. I had been ridden in the practice room for so long that it was starting to come out into the matches. And my dad was absolutely frustrated. We worked on these different techniques, these stand-ups, and my dad was a great coach, don't get me wrong. And he knew some technique, but he never wrestled, he learned it. But sometimes he had some stuff that was off the wall. He just believed it would work, but he didn't wrestle either. And he had this stand-up that to this day, was this stupid stand-up that didn't work. And one day he brings in this pole, and I don't know what it is, and he says, hey, Cary, put your hand on it. So I put my hand on it, and when I put my hand on it, my whole hand just crinkled up, and I felt this intense pain. And I like jumped back, and my eyes teared up, and it was an electric cattle prod they used to move cattle. But he said, now listen, I've had enough of watching you get ridden. It's all mental focus. It's all about going berserk on the bottom. You know the technique. Now get out. And if you don't get out, I'm going to shock you again. And like I said, my dad, he had his methods, but I left that practice room as mad as I was at him, and as many tears as I shed. I walked that practice room saying, man, when your mind's right, you can do anything. And you couldn't hold me on my back, couldn't do anything at that point.